Good morning. Good morning. This is Jennifer Hurwitz. How's everybody doing? This is Doing Relationships Right. I'm so excited today. I say that every week. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. But I am. I'm excited. I have a great guest today. This is Ellen Elizabeth. She's here with us. And I know if you're listening, you can't see her. But if you're watching my YouTube channel, you can see her. She's beautiful. She looks fabulous. She's all dolled up and ready to go. Okay, so Ellen Elizabeth is a recovery guru. That's what we're calling you today, right?
Yes, I love it.
Recovery guru. I cannot wait to hear your story. You have such a fantastic aura about you. I did stalk you a little bit.
I love that too.
I found you. Your story was just really, it resonated with me. I felt like you're just, I don't know, you're just this positive story. You talk about recovery. You talk about addiction. You talk about infertility. All things that I think that my listeners need to hear.
Absolutely.
And I think that your message is uplifting. I don't know why I'm literally getting like teary. This doesn't happen quite often that I get emotional on my podcast, but when I do, I do.
Amazing.
So Ellen, if you want to start by just explaining what you're doing, why you're here, how this started, your story, I'm going to jump right in today. I'm not even going to waste any time.
I love it. Well, I am Ellen Elizabeth. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for asking me to be on your show. I am on Instagram as the recovery guru, as we talked about, and I am really just using it as a platform to help anyone in need. So I just love helping people. I know that there are so many people struggling with similar things that I've been through, not only addictions, but also infertility and depression, anxiety, postpartum, being a mom. I'm now a mom of twins. So I've been through the gamut with everything. And I just feel like I have such a story to tell, and I just love telling it, and I love it when it resonates with people and helps them. So that's what I've been doing with my Instagram. I'm also working on writing a book. So I'm hoping that that is something that also will help people. Once it gets out there into the world, I'm hoping it makes a big impact. So
Well, I think it will.
Yes, thank you.
So which came first, if you mind me asking, if we'll start there. When did you know? When did you know that you had a problem with alcohol? When was that? Can we start there?
Yes, absolutely. We can start. So I actually started with hard drugs before even doing alcohol or drinking alcohol. And so I've always just had an addictive personality. It's always been my thing. When I was in the drugs, it was mostly it was all because of a bad relationship, and he got me into it, and it was basically what we did together.
Gotcha.
So I idolized him, and he was basically the one who got me drugs, and he was my everything. And so it was just very toxic. And once I broke up with him, I was able to quit drugs altogether, which was really amazing. But I did just replace it with alcohol because I didn't want to feel all the feelings, and I just thought I had missed out on my college life, and I was like, well, now I can make up for it by drinking. And so I was always, I would drink every day, and I was the party girl. Everyone thought I was the fun party friend. I kind of had that reputation, but it wasn't in a bad way yet, I guess. So it just progressed throughout my 20s, and it really, I knew it was a problem when I started hiding it. So I started hiding vodka just throughout my house because if people came over, I always needed an extra bit just to get to the level I wanted to be.
Sure.
And then when I moved into my now husband, when we moved in together before we were married, I started hiding vodka in the closets. Just because I always needed more.
Did he know?
He didn't know that I was hiding it at this time. We did drink a lot together, and it was something that we had fun doing. But there was this switch that would go on that made me a raging, violent, angry person. So whenever that happened, obviously it was not good because he was on the other end of it. And he knew how dark things would get. And he was really the only one who lived through that because I would show such a different side of myself to everyone else. Sometimes the switch would turn on when I was out with friends and they would see me get angry, but never the level that my husband saw.
Right.
I was good at somewhat controlling it in front of other people, just not him. So he knew that I drank to a level that was scary. And there were some times when I said, you know, I think I need to quit drinking. And we never like fully called me an alcoholic, because at the time the label is what scares so many people.
Absolutely. I was just going to say that. It's that label that says, you know, so many people are like, well, I'm not an alcoholic.
Exactly.
You know, I'm just not. Right.
But
I have so many questions for you, but go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait to answer them. Just the stigma of saying I'm an alcoholic is just, you know, impossible. You know, I didn't think that. And my husband was like, well, I don't think you are either. And so we validated what I was doing. And it did get to the point where finally, you know, he did learn how much I was sneaking it, and how much, like I would practically fall down the stairs and say, it's fine, I just had 2 glasses. And he's like, really? You know, I don't think that happens after 2 glasses of wine for you. Because my tolerance was just so high.
That's my question. Like, it took more to get you.
It took so 2 glasses of wine would do absolutely nothing for me. It would be 2 glasses plus, you know, 3/4 of a bottle of vodka in the closet that he didn't know about. So it got to the point where I couldn't continue my double life. I was starting to drink from the closet before I would go to work in the mornings at like 6 a.m. And I take my job very seriously. I was always very proud of what I was doing. And I'm in a role where I'm supposed to be a role model for people at work. I'm, you know, in the corporate ethics department. So we're supposed to be like doing the right things always.
Which is also a lot of pressure.
Yeah, exactly. And so once I realized that I needed it just to basically wake up in the morning, it spiraled to where I couldn't keep it together throughout the day.
Gotcha.
And that was basically, it just came to a point where the last day drinking was one of the only days I actually brought alcohol into my office. But I was completely hammered by lunchtime and knew that if anyone saw me, I would probably get fired. So I had to call my husband and tell him to come pick me up. I had to sneak out of the office and pretend like I kept my door open with my screen on to like, maybe she's just in the bathroom, or maybe she went to the gym for an hour, or, you know, trying to make it look like I was still there. I asked a coworker, I was like, do you mind just closing my door at the end of the day so it looks like I had left? You know, all of these things. And that was the day that I told my husband I finally asked for help. In a way. That was
your end all, that was it.
Yeah. In a way that I had never asked before. Like, I basically said, I need to go to a rehab. Like, I didn't know what else to do. In my mind, I didn't really think of AA. I don't really know what I thought I was going to do. You know, I just thought rehab was what I needed. And so, obviously in rehab, I learned that you can use AA as a tool and work that program if you want to. But in that moment, I was just like, I need something.
Right.
Yeah. So it was a long, so all the drugs were when I was a 18 to 21 year old, and then 21 to 33 was my drinking, I think. And then I've been sober for 4 years now.
Yay.
So yeah,
that's awesome. And it's hard. It's not, I mean, it's every day. Every day as you wake. I mean,
exactly.
I have people close to me that say that it's just like you wake up and it's putting 2 feet on the floor and saying, I'm going to do it.
Exactly.
Again.
Yes.
Yeah. So
and I can't live in the future. Like, if I think about I'm doing this for the next 45 days, that's overwhelming. Like, I can only think about right now.
So do you think, and I've done a lot of research on this because I have close people to me, but addiction is a disease, right?
Absolutely.
And it's also hereditary, they say.
Yes.
So family, it scares me because, I have 2 boys that are teenagers, and I'm always thinking, of course they're going to be,
Yeah.
And I'm like, when does it start? What do you watch? The tolerance level? Like, it's just, did you feel like as a teenager you even had?
No, not at all.
No.
I was actually very, I was a goody two shoes up until I met this boy.
Okay, there was this boy. Okay.
So, I mean, I drank maybe 4 or 5 times in high school.
Same
like
as me. I never
really
even touched
didn't
anything.
do a ton. Yeah.
College
and it
was
was
bad for
like,
me.
I did, you know, I had like a Smirnoff and I was like, yay,
Totally,
you know.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is. It's, and looking back to where at the end I needed like a handle to, you know, it's just crazy how it does progress.
And it does, it's quick. It's, even though it doesn't seem quick, it just goes from.
Yeah. And so I think the drugs definitely, when I was in it, I was like, this is weird. You know, I can't live without it. And, but I was like, but I'm not an addict. Like, I'm just, it's just because I'm with him and that's what we're doing together. And then even in my drinking, it was like, everyone drinks every day. It's fine.
You kept making excuses, right?
You just make the excuses. But that's what your brain does. Like, that's what the disease does.
Of course.
I read somewhere, and I think I posted, one of my quotes was, my disease lies to me in my own voice.
Yes.
Which I thought was kind of powerful, but it's definitely so as I've become sober, I've been trying to learn all about my family history. And it does affect one of my other close family members. But like, my parents aren't alcoholics, and we didn't see it like within aunts and uncles or like grandparents, but I would talk to my grandpa, who opened up a little bit about his dad. And I think his dad was an alcoholic.
Right.
Cause just the way he talked about, like, he never said that, but the way he talked about him and said that, you know, he had kind of like an anger switch too.
Right. And the stigma is such that, like, I think people they didn't really talk about it back then, right?
Exactly.
It was just, so-and-so drinks a lot. He's, you know, it's what, you know.
Right.
And for me, my mom's family is Irish.
Okay.
So they were like, that was just what they, right?
It just seems normal.
Oh, Grandpa Melvin, he's just, you know, like, he's passed away now, but that's what we do. And, you know, so it is very, they say it's carried genetically, like, on the male side, more prevalent. Right. So, of course, I'm like horrified, but, you know, I know that there's so much out there to help now, which is why I was so excited to have you on the show.
Yeah.
Because you're doing such good work, you know.
Thank you.
And your Instagram feed, everyone needs to go look. It's called It's Ellen Elizabeth. We'll put it in the show notes. But your quotes, your videos, your reels, everything is so powerful. And I love how you talk about, if you don't mind me bringing this up, the stigma around parenting and being the sober one at the party. Right. And how, like, you know, you're with your friends and, like, everyone asks you questions like, why aren't you drinking? Right. And, you know, why are you just drinking water? Which I never really thought about before. But it must be like, I can remember times that I've seen people, like, just like, well, I have it in my family, so I get it, so I don't say it. But other people and say, well, why is she just drinking water? I'm like,
right. I know.
You know, like,
and people just don't think about it.
They don't.
And then, I mean, I was that person that, like, if you weren't drinking, I was like, I don't really want to talk to you. Like, I don't want to hang, like, something's wrong with you.
Like, you're not fun.
Yeah,
like,
something's wrong with you.
Right. Or like, you're just not fun. I don't want to hang out with so-and-so because it's not fun. That it makes me uncomfortable that she's not drinking.
Right. And there were a few, when I was drinking, when I was single, there were a few men that didn't drink. And I was like, I can't hang out with you. Like, that's weird.
Right. And I remember going to, like, dinner parties with my friends, and, you know, my husband, my ex, at a time, he stopped drinking. And so people didn't want to go out with us as a couple.
I know.
Yeah. And I was like, he just, you know, he's not drinking for X amount of months because he was doing some diet or keto or whatever. He took alcohol. And they're like, you know, it's just different when you guys aren't drinking.
Right.
I was like, what's different about it? We're not fun anymore because we're not drunk.
Anymore. Right. I know. And so, people associate it as being fun, and, like, it is so normal. It's just like, oh, let's go for drinks. And, like, no one ever says, let's meet up. Well, now they do because they know I don't drink. But before, it was never like, let's meet at a park or let's meet up for coffee or, like, let's actually do, even if it was like brunch, I'd be like, oh, mimosas. Or, you know, screwdrivers or whatever.
Because I had one yesterday and it doesn't faze me. But like, you have to start thinking about like, put yourself in someone else's shoes, right?
Exactly.
Because it's such a weird thing to be even thinking of. Like, why would you ever say that to someone? Like, why aren't you drinking?
Exactly. Like, nobody asked me why I didn't do cocaine today. But to me,
laugh,
that's
but
still like a big deal. Like, yay for me.
Like, hooray. But it's so true because my boyfriend and I have been together 4 years and we don't use drugs. Like, we just don't. It's not our thing. So, but we have friends that are absolutely 100%. Like, that's what they do. And so we just have not like gone over to the houses because it's just, we don't want to be. It's almost like they make us feel bad for not smoking. Like,
I know. Right.
And I'm like, I really like you guys. I wish that you would just be okay with us. We're still, we want to hang out.
Like, we can still hang out even though we don't do that type of thing.
Right. So does it make you, can I ask questions?
Absolutely.
Does it make you uncomfortable if like, how is it when you go to a party or dinner party if other people drink? Anyone who's been through a divorce knows co-parenting is not all rainbows and sunshine, especially when alcohol abuse is involved. Pair these challenges with the pandemic and you've got the perfect storm. Soberlink's alcohol monitoring system is the most convenient, reliable, and reasonable way for a parent to provide evidence that they're not drinking during parenting time. Soberlink's real-time alerts make it easy to negotiate with any party. Judges rest assured that the child is safe. Attorneys get court-admissible evidence of sobriety, and both parents have empowerment and peace of mind. Do divorce right and trust the experts in remote alcohol monitoring technology to keep your kids safe, happy, and well-adjusted. Get an exclusive $50 off your device by emailing info@soberlink.com and mentioning Doing Relationships Right.
So now I am much better about it.
Okay.
It's 4 years in and I'm finally comfortable. The first year was really hard. And my husband is normal. He can drink like 2 beers and be done, or he can decide not to drink for a day and it doesn't make him crazy. Like if I couldn't drink for a day, I was uncomfortable and needed it and obsessed about it. And you know, that type of thinking.
That's like smoking too. When you quit smoking, you're like, you see someone smoking and you're like, oh my
God,
I
smell you. Like, yeah.
Can I get a whiff of you?
Anything.
I quit smoking and I was like, I thought something was going to happen to me. Like,
right. Exactly. You feel like your body is going to shut down basically.
Yeah. I honestly felt that way. Like my insides were like, people were like, it's disgusting. I'm like, I understand you think it's disgusting, but
I would like that right now.
I would really like that. And still even now, like it's been, I think I quit. God, in college I smoked like socially, like with what, but still to this day, sometimes I'm like, I have that oral, like I just even want to hold one.
Mm-hmm. I totally understand. And that's similar when I'm at parties. Like I feel weird when I'm not holding a drink or if people know it's not alcoholic, but it did take years for me to be comfortable and it was really hard. So the first year or two, like we didn't invite people over, which we love having people over and hosting and stuff, but I just couldn't have it in the house. It made me too uncomfortable. And then going out, even though I would do it and I would, tell everyone it's fine.
That was my next question.
They would act uncomfortable towards me.
That was my next question. Like people say, do you mind are you okay with me drinking?
Right.
And I'm like,
and that still even happens today when they have seen me doing it for so long and being comfortable. Like I'll still get text messages like, so people are going to be drinking. Is that okay? And I'm like, I know everyone.
So how should people do it? Like,
I don't mind. Just say, hey, I know you're coming. I've got sparkling water. I've got some awesome mocktail recipes. Like I have all these cool things for you to try. Like I feel better when you make me feel included, not by saying like, are you going to be okay? Like
instead of questioning, it's just say, look, I've got such and such, and what's your favorite flavor of Pellegrino?
Yeah. It just makes me feel so different and weird when you're like, people are going to be drinking. It's like, I know,
okay, great, thank you. Are they going to be
everywhere. Like, yeah. You don't
Are they
tell
wearing
me
red
people,
too? It's like
right,
just so strange.
You don't tell me people are going to be smoking cigarettes or,
Right.
you know, other things. Like, it's fine. Like, I totally understand that people drink, and I'm fine with people drinking. It's like normal. Like, that society makes it normal.
Right. Right.
Basically. So it's normal for me to go places and know that there will be drinking involved.
Right.
There are
and it's
times,
also your choice, right? I mean, it's your choice.
Yeah.
So like if you see the invitation and it's a, you know, the theme is whatever, and it does, you don't feel like, oh, you're going to say no.
Right.
But still invite you. I feel like it's the same thing with divorce.
Yeah, still invite me. If I'm uncomfortable, I just won't go.
I'm all about like inviting someone and letting them decide if they want to come or not. Don't call them up and say, well, just so you know, if you don't feel comfortable. Yeah. They do that. It's the same thing with divorce. I get that a lot. Like, you know, you're going to be the only single person there, but if you want to come, and I'm like,
well, yeah, you could have just said, please come.
Yes.
And I'll decide if I don't want to.
Right.
I know.
I'm like, thanks a lot. Okay.
I know. And it's hard because I know they have the best intentions and they're just worried about me. But like at this point, I'm like, you've known me now for 4 years sober.
Right.
Like,
it's not like it's 5 minutes sober. You've been sober. Right.
So it's been a while, but it just still makes me feel like I'm left out. And so even when I go to these parties and I can just tell when I walk in, like friends will like move their wine and try to hide it and and I'm just like, it's fine.
You want to stand up and be like, I'm here and it's all good.
I know, it's all fine. Like, you don't have to be weird. And like so I am getting comfortable. Like, we have people over now and my husband has alcohol. Like, he doesn't keep it like right on the counter like we used to, but he'll keep it in the basement somewhere or whatever. But we had people over for his birthday and I had told them, bring your favorite beverage. Like, that's just what I tell people to do now, instead of like, we'll have everything here. Like, just bring what you want.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And they still don't do it. Like, they come and they're just like, we didn't know like, they tell my husband, like, we weren't sure like what to do. So he's like making them drinks, like encourage, like, it's okay. But they they still won't ask me. And
I think it's the same thing. And then you also, if we can segue into this, because it's I feel like it's kind of the same stigma with like the infertility. Like, people don't talk about that either. Like, it's like, they don't want to ask you questions, you know, and it's all like, it's, you know,
and so infertility is so hard because you never know what part of infertility they're at. Like, have they actually lost a baby?
Right.
You know, have they gone through several miscarriages, or are they just starting? Yeah. And so that is so touchy and so hurtful. It's usually easier just to let them say whatever they want.
Right. Or is it better just not to ask at all?
Right.
What do you suggest?
I think,
I don't know.
I mean, it kind of depends. It always depends on the person. Because some people are very, like, I'm very much, ask me anything and I'll tell you anything. But some people do get offended. And I understand, because it's your body. And I mean, it's what you're going through. But I've never been one to offend easily. So my personality is just kind of like, oh, well, like, I gave birth and there were 14 people watching my vagina, and you know, like, I talk about that openly. But some people are like, oh my God, you said vagina. Like, what? We don't talk up that way. So
people who don't like the word vagina don't listen to my, I mean, if they don't like talk about, they're not listening to you in relationships.
Like, sorry if
we're
we're talking about the wrong thing right now. But yeah, it really just depends on the person. And so it does get touchier for certain subjects like that, because, you know, I've been through it. Like, even just this weekend, I went to AT&T and was just talking to the guy helping me, and he was like, oh, I have a 6-month-old. And he said something like, it was a long time coming. And normally people wouldn't pick up on that. But I was like, oh, well, I have twins, and it took over 3.5 years to get that because we had to do IVF. So I just kind of like segued into it, trying to make him comfortable in case that was what he was talking about. And he was like, oh, and he just immediately opened up and was like yeah, we had to do that, and we had to get eggs, and we took this, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. So
I think people appreciate that, right? Because
right,
if you have the
yeah.
same story, it's like, it's so nice to have someone that gets it.
Right.
Right.
And so for me, I just kind of I do it for both drinking and infertility is I'll just kind of tell my story to people that I think may be needing to hear it. And then
so nice.
They'll hear something and it'll help them open up more. But from the other side of it, like being the one you're asking, like most people at this point know I'm an open book, but not everyone's like that. So everyone is different.
Well, it's nice too that I think that your platform is so, it resonates with so many people because, you know, just like it's cathartic for you, but at the same time, that's like how I started my blog 7 years ago, was that I didn't really think, I wasn't sure anybody was going to reach out or what, but people are finding you and coming to you and reading your stuff, and, you know, they're going to read your book because they may not want to talk about it, but it's something that they can understand and relate to, right?
Right.
And it makes them feel better that someone else gets it.
Right.
You know, so like lots of people don't want to talk about divorce or they don't want to talk about their own whatever, but to hear that, you know, I'm so open about it, they can reach out to me, you know, PM me or DM me or slide into my DMs, whatever it is.
Yeah, I know.
I know, slide it. But your platform is really, I mean, just the way your quotes and your I keep going on about it, but I mean, I found you, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I really did. I
it.
reached out to you and I'm like, you've got, it's just really amazing. So your IVF and your infertility, all that stuff went on the same time you were going through getting sober.
Exactly. Yes.
Oh my God, I can't imagine.
We actually started trying to get pregnant right after we got married, and at that time I was still drinking. So there was always that little voice in the back of my head, like, maybe your drinking is making you infertile.
Right, which...
And then the guilt and the shame and all of that just makes me drink heavier because I'm like, I can't handle this.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, it's that whole like
the spiral
cycle of like,
yeah, the cycle.
Right.
And then I was able, so, I mean, it was about 1.5 years before I got sober, and we were taking Clomid, which is the pill that helps you ovulate, and timing intercourse, and, you know, all of the unfun things that come with infertility. It's like, yay, okay, today's the day. Neither of us feel like it, but let's go.
I know. I remember my mom calling me like, today's it, Jen. Today's the day. I'm like, thanks, Trish. Appreciate that a whole lot.
Appreciate that, you know, as well.
I'm not sure which is worse.
I know.
The fact that you know when I'm ovulating, or the fact that you're telling me. I'm not.
Right. Let's go. Yeah.
I mean, my ex-husband was like, did your mom just call and tell us where I'm supposed to? I'm like, yes, she did.
Yeah, she did. So let's go do that now.
Just kidding.
But I did finally, so there were several months where I knew, like, it's a possibility you're pregnant, and then there's that whole 2-week wait where you're waiting to test, and I was still drinking, and I was like, okay, just have 1 shot of vodka while you're waiting, you know, trying to make it anything, and I couldn't, you know, I couldn't just have the one, and I was like, every time I was like, well, next time will be better, but then in my mind I was like, what if I am pregnant? Like, what, when I find out, will I stop? And I didn't know if I would be able to. So it was several months of doing that was just like making me even more stressed and anxious and depressed. And so finally, once I was able to get sober, we took several months off of trying anything just to kind of let my body normalize. I think I got sober in January, and by August was when we started talking about doing more treatments. And so at that point, I was still pretty newly sober, and then going through all of the stress and actually feeling all of the feelings and going through all of that was really, really hard. And actually being pregnant was the hardest. Like, I wanted to drink more times during that phase than I had throughout my entire sobriety.
And your hormones and the stress
and that sounds like so awful to some people, because it's like, well, you're making your kids, and, you know, there in your body and like you're in charge of them. And I'm like, yeah, that doesn't matter to addicts. Like,
right.
it's
like,
awful.
And I completely understand where you're coming from. Completely.
It's hard to say that out loud, but it's like in your brain, you just need that one fix, and that's all you can think about, and nothing else matters, even the things that matter the most to you.
Of course. And I think that's exactly what the point is. Like,
right.
And that's why what you're doing is so important, because just that sentence alone, listeners who are listening are going, oh my God, I get it.
Right.
I understand.
Yeah.
Right. Which is why I feel like your work is so important. It really is so important. And I know that we talked about this before, but my sponsor is Soberlink.
Right.
And I'm going to reach out to them if you don't mind. And
I would love that. Yes.
Okay. And let's see what we can get them to do. Soberlink, you need to call Miss Ellen Elizabeth, but
yes, please.
They're amazing. And I only really plug what I love. And so when they came to me and they were asking if they could sponsor, I was like, yes, because I think it's a fabulous thing to do.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, they have like an alcohol monitoring system. So it's like a breathalyzer that you actually, so for co-parenting and all that good stuff,
right.
It's really awesome. So
that is so cool.
Yeah, so I just think you're doing amazing things and great work. And
thank you.
I'm excited for your book. I'm really excited.
I can't wait. I know I'm getting more and more excited the closer I get to everything, but it's still like the hard parts are coming up and I'm like, I know. Nervous about it, but it'll be amazing however it turns out.
It will be. I'm excited. Well, I'm so glad you were here today. And it was so nice to meet you finally face to face.
I know.
Even though it's not
exciting.
Really. It's kind of face to face.
Well, yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So the best
There's so many people now I know like through the screen and I'm like, what'll happen when I meet you in person? It'll be like,
well, when we come out to Colorado to say, are you close to Boulder?
We are pretty close to Boulder. It's it's like an hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours.
Awesome. Well, my kid wants to look at Boulder, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe I'll give you a ring.
That'd be cool.
But the best place to find you is itsellenelizabeth.com.
Yes, exactly.
And your website's awesome and everything's there. Please, guys, follow Ellen on Instagram. And you have a Facebook page.
I do.
I've been there too. I've stalked you a lot.
I love it.
Anything else I need to know before we go?
No, I think you've got everything down. I really appreciate it. It's been awesome today.
You. Do you have any piece of a nugget or knowledge or a cool quote or something for me?
Well, my knowledge I try to tell everyone at the end is just don't be afraid to ask for help. You're not alone. I mean, the hardest part about going through so many of the things I went through is sitting in that moment thinking I was completely alone and feeling completely alone. And it just kind of makes the cycle more vicious and harder to get out of. But once you realize that you can ask for help and that there's other people out there that have been through the same thing, it's amazing. Like I've met so many sober twin moms and other people who have gone through infertility sober, which I'd never that's not something that's very common, is to be like, oh, I'm sober and I'm doing this. It's just been amazing. But the only reason I know that is from asking and kind of putting myself out there. So just ask for help if you think that's something you need. Don't be afraid.
I love that. Yeah, knowledge is power, right? I mean,
exactly.
If you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
So anyone who's listening, my listeners, please reach out to Ellen. And if you need help or you need any advice or you need just someone to talk to through this, because
absolutely,
just talk. And you know what? I love that. Ellen, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
So it's ellenelizabeth.com. Everything's going to be in the show notes. You'll be able to find her. And the episode is coming up soon. I'm going to drop it and you'll know because, of course, Podcast Tuesday will be out and then she'll be there too.
Yay.
So you know where to find me. It's jenniferhurwitz.com. And that's it, you guys. Just look for me everywhere. And as usual, do something fabulous today and peace, love, and so much truth. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Thank you.